Hey, welcome back to the 5-Minute Strategist. So today's the final day of our mid-year review. We have worked through all of the review of the first half of the year. We figured out what we want to do, our top 3 goals for the next half of the year. And now we need to figure out what that looks like in terms of implementation. And in the same way we figured out what our top 1 to 3 goals are, we're going to figure out what our top 1 to 3 needle movers are for each of those goals. Right, so we're not going to write an entire project plan. We're simply going to go, what are the 3 components of that goal that if we did them, we would get the closest to completing that goal, right? So we're really thinking in terms of that kind of 80-20 mindset of 20% of the tasks get you 80% of the result, rather than overwhelming ourselves with massive to-do lists, simply looking for those top 1 to 3. And I want you to go back to, like we did for the goals, go back to each of the departments. So let's say your goal was to increase revenue. The natural place is to go to the sales area and think, I need more leads, I need more calls, I need to be better at converting, for example. And be like, boom, those are my 3 needle movers. But actually, if you think about it, maybe you need to increase capacity to support that revenue goal. Maybe you need to do more marketing to get those leads. Try not to zero in on the silo of your goal, and to think across your business. So like we did with the goals, I would say, if this is my goal, what does the sales team need to do? If this is the goal, what is the marketing team? Even if you are the entire sales team, this is how we get you to think in each of the hats that you wear for your business. So you're going to do sales, marketing, ops, finance, team. And this will give you a larger set of needle movers, and you can select the 3 needle movers you really want to focus on, rather than simply picking 3 needle movers by default. And then once you have those 3 needle movers, you can break them down into more of a task level process. What I want you to think about though, is within all of those tasks, what are the needle movers? So we're sticking with that 80-20 thinking. What are the high impact tasks in that list? And high impact means they are going to create a noticeable difference and move you towards that end goal. We want to make sure that all of your time and your money and your energy is being invested in those 20% of activities that generate 80% of the results. When we focus on these big tasks, we create momentum. And when we can create momentum at the beginning of the second half of the year, that's going to really help us carry through for the rest of the 6 months. So now you should have your 3 goals, your 3 needle movers, and with your tasks, you have your 3 needle movers, and when those are done, you're going to have your next 3 needle movers, etc. So don't panic that you're restricted to only doing 3 tasks. But for the sake of this, we've got 3 goals, 3 needle movers, 3 tasks within those needle movers. And now I want you to think about the timeline in which those tasks have to happen. Let's say you pick your most impactful task. What has to happen before that task? So you might have your goal is to generate more revenue, and that means you have to have a much better webinar. However, you might need to generate capacity before you create the webinar, because if the webinar sells a bunch of stuff and you're at capacity, you can't do anything with it. So that's wasted effort. So we prioritize generating capacity over building the webinar. And in order to generate capacity, there might be some things that aren't in the needle movers that need to happen first. Maybe you need to hire, for example. So what we're doing is we're carrying this thread of needle movers the whole way through, while keeping ourselves laser focused on the things that are important for the second half of the year. So you should now have 3 goals, 3 needle movers, and a timeline of what tasks you're doing when. And that should show you exactly where you need to start. Next week, 1st of July, boom, I know exactly what I'm focusing on. And if you're now like, oh, Diane, hang on a second, what about the rest of the things that are still on my to-do list from the first half of the year? Well, you can now evaluate those in terms of, will they get you towards your goals? Are they already covered in your needle movers? And if they're not, do we still need to do them? If not, just cross them off. If we still need to do them, do you need to do them? Is there somebody else who can do them for you instead? And if it's something that isn't a needle mover that just has to get done, like your taxes, go and add that into the timeline of the plan that you just did so that we don't forget important things in our business. If it's just a squirrel and it's an idea and it's something that you're excited about and it doesn't fit into the needle movers, let's go and put that in the parking lot to come back and revisit at a later stage. And I know this might feel like, oh, but there's so much I could do and I want to do all the things. That might be our normal way of operating. But if it is, that's when it starts to feel chaotic, when it feels like we're switching the whole time. So for at least the next 90 days, do the most important and the most impactful things in your business and watch the needle move towards your goals. And then for the second half of the year, you can evaluate again. And if it doesn't work for you, you can go back to what you were doing before. But I think you'll find that this is how you calm some of that chaotic vibe that's been happening in your business. So what is your strategy for prioritizing your tasks for the second half of the year?